but I'm very glad to be back nevertheless. Adjust my mic here a moment. I like when it's the first day back at school after ages and you feel like you can't remember how to write. It kind of feels like that. Let me show you on the map. I've been here before in real life. They've got a very, very, very cool aviation museum. Loads of old vets, tornadoes that they've been given, and it's really cool because like some of they'll let the kids sit in them, and like they don't really care. Like, you know what kids are like, you put them in a fighter jet, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to grab the joystick and like ram it backwards and forwards, left and right, and pretend they're a fighter pilot, and they're totally cool with it. Like, it was a really good day. They even let us take the if you can do it. I think I'm right in saying this airport doubles as like a military base. Is it St Morgan they call it? Anyway, it is also an airport, a very small airport, and they do flights to Edinburgh from here, so I thought we'd do that flight today. Who's chopping? My voice? Is the music chopping, or is it just my mic that's chopping? If it's just my mic, I might be able to fix that. Listen in on my stream on my phone. Just the mic. Alright, hold the line. Okay, how's that? Any better? Can I put the main waypoints in chat? Yeah, I suppose I can. Just a second. Alright, so the issue is probably very boring and uninteresting, but I use a piece of software called Nvidia Broadcast. And what Nvidia Broadcast does is it takes my microphone feed and it cleans it up. It kind of gets rid of a lot of background noise that isn't my voice. It uses artificial intelligence. So if I were to be, I don't know, eating a chocolate bar and I was scrunching up the wrapper and I was talking at the same time, it's very, very clever. It would get rid of the wrapper but keep my voice. It also means if I accidentally sort of whack the microphone or whack my desk, that sort of dung noise that you get wouldn't come through. But it's causing issues, so I've turned it off, so you're getting the raw mic feed, so the mic might be a bit up and down a bit today. Runway 12, that's right, AV Geek. Right. So, now I've sorted out all my audio issues, apologies. Should we go and get the plane started? So we're in Sim Update 12, we've got live weather on, so we'll see how that feels today. What flight level? That's a good question, I haven't actually checked. $38,380. Right, let's get this thing fired up, shall we? Batteries on. Number 1. Number 2. We've got ground power available, so we'll make use of it. APU master on. Wait 3 seconds. APU start. Europe, good to see you. Good to see you. So I have very cool news. We're finally past 4,000 watch hours. I can get the channel monetized. Can't believe it. It happened this morning. Cannot believe it. I thought it would never happen. Which actually brings up a whole load of other questions, such as like tax and bank accounts and stuff like that. So I need to get my ducks in a row there. I think what I'll probably do is hold off until accepting YouTube's partner proposal thing until April the 6th or 7th, whenever the new tax year starts here in the UK. Then I can kind of just keep it clean, if you know what I mean, like make a clean cut. Right, let's get APU bleed on. Whoops, navs. Let's get the tablet fired up. Download the flight plan, there it is. That's all good. Fuel. Don't need much today. So I get money now. Potentially. I don't know how much. It could be like 20p. So, no idea. I can't imagine it'll be huge amounts given the views that I get. Okay, oxygen, crew supply, arm the lights, no smoking lights are on, nav and logo.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to see final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight.
Jalise, how you doing?
To make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, well, we've passed the 4,000 hours, so I can apply to YouTube now to have my channel reviewed. They will then review it and then hopefully accept me. But yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to wait until April the 6th, which is not really very far, because that's when our financial year ends here in the UK. Because obviously if I start taking money from YouTube, I'm then obligated to pay taxes on it. Then I have to submit tax returns to the government and stuff like that. Now if I start doing that now, like immediately today, I would have to do a tax return for the year that's about to end. Given that there's only a week left of it, doesn't feel like that makes a huge amount of sense. So I'll wait till April. That'll give me a chance to maybe get a little separate bank account set up to keep it all separate from my sort of day-to-day finances. Try and do it right from the start rather than making a mess, if you see what I mean, and then trying to unpick it all later. What am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, everything looks good up here. Put some lights on, that might help, it might not. Let's brighten these up. Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, Jalise, I'm kind of shocked. Like, genuinely quite shocked. It was the graphic settings video that did it. It was absolutely that did it. Right, I need to do more videos like that for sure. So yeah, I mean that's the lesson. More content on the channel that is not simply just flying. That doesn't mean to say I'm going to stop doing these. Like I'm having a great time here now flying. Like that's the whole point, right? Is to fly. And if I'm going to fly, why not fly with you all? But for sure, I need to do more content surrounding flight simulation that isn't necessarily just flying. Yeah, I mean that graphic setting video, I mean that's like nearly 11,000 views, which I know for a lot of YouTubers is, you know, small fry, but that's the best video I've ever done. On which subject, there'll be no yoke cam today because I'm using the camera to film something else. And I can neither confirm nor deny what that is. Which at least you can be sure I will never ever forget about you all. Like genuinely, like it is not lost on me, the support that you all have shown over this last year or so. It's been incredible. What am I doing? I'm getting so distracted. What's our flex temp today? Minus 52. Wessam, how you doing? Yeah, thank you for 3,000. That's yeah, it's all come at once. Like the whole crossing the threshold for monetization, whatever it's called, YouTube partner, and getting 3,000 all at once. It's a bit overwhelming. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm just overwhelmed by the support really that you all have shown. I can't thank you all enough. I will not forget. Guarantee that. And the dog's doing really well, thank you. There's a bit of a story about the dog, actually. It's a bit weird. Basically, I thought there was a very real chance that on Monday when he went to the vet, we were going to end up with a £700 to maybe £900 bill. And it turned out it was free, which is brilliant news. Okay, so we're going to take off from runway 12, and there's no SIDS here, so that'll be that, I guess. Ooh, wrong side. Yeah, so with the dog, he went to the vet almost a year ago to the day because they said he had a couple of teeth that looked bad, so they wanted to take them out, and that cost us quite a lot of money. It was about £600, but it's like, okay, fine, whatever, we'll have to do it. Taken back to the vet last week for an unrelated issue, and the vet checks him over and he goes, oh, he's got a snapped tooth. So I said, oh, that's funny, because I thought he had that one out. At which point the vet was a bit like, oh. And it turns out they left part of a tooth in last year. So the poor dog's had this like half a tooth sticking out from his gum for like over a year. And the vets were so apologetic. They were like, we'll do it all for free today, like there'll be no charge, and we'll do this and we'll do that, and we'll do all these extra things that we wouldn't normally do, that would normally cost loads of money. We'll do it all for free. So I think they're very, very, they're in grovelling mode for sure. But hey, it means I didn't get a bill, so... How's Sim Update 12 so far? Honestly, this is my first time using it, so there's a very, very real possibility we might get some weirdness that we're not planning for. So yeah, I guess you'll be along for the ride for that. I did load it up last night and do the download. But beyond that, I haven't actually flown in it yet. Okay, so just walking through the routes. Yeah, they shouldn't have forgotten Jalise for sure. I mean, they were like very, very tail between their legs. Kind of. I mean, I dropped him off at like, when was it, like 10? And then within about 30 or 40 minutes, they were on the phone. And when I saw the caller ID come up on my phone for the vet, I was like, oh no, like, what's going on? Because he hasn't been there very long. It must be bad news. And yeah, so began the apologies. I don't know, I mean, I guess I could have been really angry at them and been like, you'll be hearing from my lawyers and yeah, all of that, but I don't know. People make mistakes. Live and let live. And they did the right thing. They didn't try and... they could have tried to cover it up. They could have been like, oh yeah, that was a snap tooth, and they could have charged me £800. Really? How would I have known? So they did the right thing, and I think that's the most important part. Right, so we're going to take manual control at this point, and I think we'll kind of do a little bit of a tour and come in on final. So we've got to get from 7,000 to 3,000, and that should be plenty of time. We'll sort of descend our way gently down here and come into Edinburgh. What waypoint is the start of descent? It might not actually be a waypoint. It might be in between a waypoint. So we want this at flight level 200 in rev. Is there anything prior to that? No, there is not. So yeah, we'll get the calculator out and see at what point we need to start descending. How many miles away from in rev do we need to give ourselves? Fly over Newcastle for a detour. Alright, so we've got a flight plan. Let's do our local pressures, shall we? Because we are using live weather. I noticed that in the updates they were saying that cloud pop has been dealt with in this sim update, so you don't get clouds sort of randomly loading in. It's going to be more graceful, and I did wonder whether that would extend to the wind, because I know that we often suffer with the wind, don't we? Oh my goodness, look at the wind up at Edinburgh. Alright, well that could be interesting. I didn't realise that. Well, that could be interesting. I mean, that's going to be right in the direction that we're landing in, so that'll be a headwind, but a strong one. So we might need to keep an eye on how much we flare, otherwise we could float down that runway. We might need to sort of plop ourselves down with a reasonable amount of force to not risk floating. So we might not get a butter today. Uh, 380, I think, down to 200 in rev, AV geek, I believe. Right, what was local pressure? 1000000. Now then, given that there's no star here, we'll just put 380 in the window. Let's not mess about, eh? Nice. Well, I don't think we'll need to crab Wesson, because it should be, the wind is at 240 degrees and we're landing on runway 24 into Edinburgh, so we should be alright. But yeah, can I crab? Sometimes. It's a bit hit and miss. It is a bit hit and miss. Right, we must be nearly ready for pushback. So, seatbelts on, beacon.
Flight attendants, arm doors, and cross-check.
Put the predictive wind shear onto auto. Lock the doors. Because I went into the options menu prior to going live. I don't know why it does that. It always sets like speed brakes and flaps to full if you go into the menu. I don't know why it does that. Yeah, it may change, Wessam. Let's pray that it doesn't. Still, we've got plenty of time today, so I would say maybe we'll be more likely to do a go around today rather than have to ditch it and run because I have to leave the house. Alright, let's look at our pushback because it's really weird here. If you look, the terminal, we're sort of parked parallel to the terminal. So we almost need to weave back there. For whatever reason it won't let me zoom out, so that's going to have to do. Okay, let's request pushback. Why have you been signed out of your Microsoft Flight Sim account? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe an issue with your Microsoft account in general?
For departure, if you need a clear to land above your seat, make sure you have a safe and comfortable flight. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you enjoyed this experience.
Oh, morning, Rock Pebbler. You're right on time. Okay. Strobes onto auto. Get our taxi lights on. Everything's coming to life nicely. That's good. Good. Good, good, good. So we do APU bleed off. APU master off. And put our engine switch back into normal. arm our spoilers. Auto brake max. Cabin's ready. Let's get some... Ooh. So that's new. Different windows. This used to all merge into one window, so that's something new. This is because, isn't it, they did an update in Sim Update 12 where it will now remember where I put these. So for example, if I had a separate LCD display that I was trying to make like a little cockpit out of, I could move this sort of like down underneath here, for example, and it would remember it. Which is pretty cool, I would say. Pretty cool indeed. So I'm going to get these on my other monitor. And with a bit of luck, it will remember it. Just making them a little bit smaller before I drag them over. Alright. Okay, so that's one difference so far that we noticed. I should do this one as well. It's going to make me want to build a glass cockpit. And we don't want that, because that'll get expensive. Alright, so to taxi, we're going to need to use one of these turning points. Because we actually need to be going behind us. So we need to turn around. Could really do with brightening these up a touch as well. That's better. Yeah, so unfortunately there'll be no yoke cam today. The camera is off of its little wall mount and is actually being used as a camera. So I think we can turn in here. I do believe we can turn. Let's go back to that museum that's at this airport next time I'm in Newquay. Talking to one of the guys there, he was saying that they were going to get one of I think it was either a British Airways or a Virgin Atlantic, one of their retired 747s, complete with a ground power unit. And they could just have it there constantly as like an exhibition piece, so people could go inside it, and obviously it would all be fired up, so all the electrical systems would be working. But the council, being their landlords essentially, wouldn't give them planning, because it required planning permission to do so. And of course this is where the Virgin Galactic rocket set off from. The one that didn't go so well. But this is their base, this is where they were doing it from. The brakes work, that's good. Oh, I didn't realise rock pebblers were birds. I must admit, I did wonder what your name was about. Parakeets, cool. Brian it is. If we may. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate about the yoke cam today, but it takes quite a while to set it back up, and I didn't have time this morning because I've been filming stuff for the next video. Right, we're going to stop here a minute. Oh, damn it. I didn't set my recording software going. Right, it's going now. Right, parking brake on. And we'll get our lights on. Those lights to take off. Takeoff config remains normal. Auto brake max, flaps set to 1. Speed brakes are armed. Sort out TCAS. Not that it matters a huge deal to us today.
Prepare for takeoff.
Right. Let's get out there, shall we? I'll be honest, I kind of want to get taken off because I've got a thing of coffee here and I really want to drink it. Is that bad? Yeah, it's weird to think that the Virgin 747 with the rocket under its wing took off from here. You sort of think, oh, Newquay, that'll be a small little airport. Then you've got 747s that can use it. Very cool. Okay, we can do a little bit better job of lining up there, I think. Let's just push ourselves around to the right just a touch. Okay. Everyone ready? Tray tables up, seatbelts on. Let's go and see what's going on in Edinburgh. So we'll hold it on the brake, let the engine spool up. And away we go. A little bit of left rudder required, otherwise we're going to get blown to the... Well, we are really getting blown to the right. Lots of left rudder required. That's loads. Let's get out of here. It's windy. Look how much we're getting twisted, look. Wow. Gear up. Transition altitude already. There we go, there's the airport you can see in the background, and there is the town of Newquay just behind our wing there. So Edinburgh is currently 385 track miles away. Okay, that's 10,000. That'll be Bodmin Moor beneath us, I think. It's always really weird how thin Cornwall is, because obviously there's one side and there's the other. Probably won't be able to see the Eden project from here. Is our cruise speed 290? We're at 290 at the moment. Not sure if there's a way to tell actually. Yeah, cruise is 290. Let's let the passengers out, shall we? That's right, AV Geek, yeah, straight up. There's no restrictions on the way up. There's no kind of like, you must be below 5 at this point, and then below 8, and then it's just like straight up. So, I guess if we were on VATSIM, we may be taking directions from ATC. They may have their own plan for us to get up to cruise, but seeing as we're just on our own today, yeah, straight up. So we're just heading over Exmoor. That's what you can kind of see just beneath the wing there. Then we take a turn to the left over the River Severn estuary. Above the Welsh valleys. That should be a nice view, that. Doing the glamorous airports. Hey, there's nothing wrong with Newquay. It's a good night out as well, apparently, Newquay. Not that I've ever been. Well, I've been to Newquay, just not for the night out. Though I must say, Sunday morning, walking around the town, everyone looked very, very hungover. And all you could hear was like those giant industrial wheelie bins full of glass bottles being kind of tipped into the back of a lorry. The aftermath. Still, you know, Newquay's good enough for Virgin Galactic with their 747 with the rocket underneath its wing, so it's good enough for us. Good night out if you're 21, yeah. trying to work out where that is. Is that Minehead? Must be Minehead. That little town there with the cliffs to the right of it. Maybe? I don't know. I've flown out of Dubai a couple of times. In and out. So I've done some long hauls, Heathrow to Dubai, Dubai back to Heathrow in an A330. So fly-by-wire, the people that make the plane we're in now, the A320neo, they're coming out with an A380, which is very highly anticipated. And I think when that comes out, we ought to do a Dubai flight with that. Dubai to Manchester. Yeah. Karachi, where's that? Well, there's Cardiff Airport just beneath us. Is that a long flight, Rob, or is it more of a short haul kind of thing? I meant to ask you actually, are you having any issues with your mic going through Nvidia broadcast? Because this morning I had a nightmare, so I've had to turn it off. Hence, you're probably going to hear some weird noises. Oh yeah, I'm just looking on the map. Yeah, so you've got a small bit of sea to cross over, but then, like you say, it's coastline all the way there. Good call. I'll look into that, thank you. What's that, probably like an hour and a bit? Yeah, your audio last night seemed a little bit weird. Sort of coming in and out. Maybe Nvidia Broadcast needs to be updated. It has been whinging at me to update it, so that might be why. But I always feel like if there's not a problem, maybe don't touch that stuff. But now that there is a problem, I will. So we should probably have a look. When we need to descend. What was it? 20,000 in rev. Now, how much of a straight line is it to in rev? Not that much of a straight line. In rev. 192 miles as the crow flies, which is basically from there to about there. Now we're going to go all the way out to here, which is a bit longer. So what have we got? 10, 35, 53, 62, 85, 6, 123, 132, 155, 168, 179, okay. So I think when this gets to about 70 miles, we've got to go to 380 down to 20,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again from the flight deck, your captain speaking. We've just reached our cruising altitude for the flight. As it begins to settle in, I do want to remind you to please keep your feet elbows square from
Have you flown that route to Pakistan in real life, Rob, or is that?
Cabin with galley cart shortly. Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating with the front galley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
Yeah, so just shy of 200 miles. What is this saying? 75. So actually it's 20 miles more to get to InRev than it is as the crow flies. So it's this plus 20, more or less. And we need 57. So when that says 37, we'll start. That makes sense. What's wrong with Newquay? Don't let the Cornish hear you saying that. Oh, I wonder how the pole's doing. I haven't actually checked on the pole. Okay, so that's a bit of a landslide for the 737-800, isn't it? That is a landslide indeed. I can see why. I mean, that's the one that most people have been on. And I was the same. Like when PNDG came out with the 737-700 first of all, I was like, yeah, but I don't want to spend all that money on the 700, I want the 800. I mean, that basically confirms what the chief exec of the MDG was talking about, saying that they'd love to make all these different types of planes, but really the market wants what the market goes on holiday in. And looking at that poll, given the amount of 737-800s there are, and the probability that that's the one you've been on, it's no surprise, I guess. What's the wind looking like in Edinburgh? It was looking strong earlier, but in our favour. Yeah, 25 knots, but it's at 240 degrees and we're landing on runway 240, or 24 rather, so the wind is going to be heading at us. So I'm hoping, although it might be bumpy, we won't have to deal with too much crabbing or anything like that. And we'll go from there. If we need to do a go around, we will. Well, so far, I don't think we've seen an awful lot of cloud pop, which is one thing that this update was supposed to address, which is good. I'm curious whether that's going to extend to the wind conditions, because quite often, we had it coming into Gatwick, that was probably the worst example, where we had a crosswind from the right, and then midway through our final, it reloaded the weather, and then the wind changed direction on us completely. Like almost a complete 180. So then the plane starts rocking around and it almost falls out the sky. Alright. So the plane is wanting our destination data. So it's 985 in Edinburgh. Wind's picking up, 26, but still staying at 240. Okay. .240 at 26. What was the temperature? 9. How far are we away? Okay, cool. Possibly going to overshoot in rev.
From the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen, as you may have noticed, we have begun our initial descent down to our destination. Now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of as we prepare for our approach. If you are up, once you return to your seat, we ask that you remain seated until the aircraft arrives safely at the gate. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival.
What's the plan after in-rev? Down to 7, then 3. Okay, that's fine. just going to put this down to 7,000. Then we can work our way down. Found a piece of Apple nostalgia yesterday. What was that? And it still works. That's amazing. So the battery's still okay in there. That's quite impressive. I never had an iPod. For whatever reason, I got convinced they weren't very good, and I don't know why. I ended up buying a, what was it, a Creative Zen. I almost immediately regretted it. I was like, oh, I should have got an iPod. Gig 5th gen. So what were they looking like at 5th gen? Let's have a look. Okay, so they had the colour screens at that point. Was that the video one? The one that could also do video? Okay, autopilot's getting very confused with the speeds that we need. We actually need to be at 230 knots. Slightly annoying that it did that actually. It went up from 250, it's taking us up to 290 again. So we've got to re-lose all of that energy. That's annoying. I don't know why it thought to do that, because it's got 250 then 230 and it just decided to go 290. Is the sim update 12 big? I had to do a 4 gigabyte download, I think. So so Steam updated the game. I think that was about 400 or 500 meg. Then when you load the game, there's a further 4 gig. But it said it was going to take 8 of disk space. So I don't know whether it became compressed and yeah, I'm not sure on that one. So yeah, not massive, not compared to what could have been, that's for sure. That is annoying that the plane decided to shoot up to 290 knots. Because having to re-lose all that energy is quite difficult, especially at this stage in the flight. We may have to go out to sea a little bit. So we'll turn 060 at this waypoint and we'll just head on out, coming in and around. 100 gig. That's like the entire game, isn't it? So heading 060. Once we get clear of this waypoint. There's our airport, just over there, I believe. There we go. We just reduce our descent rate a little bit. That will help us get under 230 knots, at which point we can start deploying some flaps, which will be helpful. So this is where we need to intercept to come in on final approach. So we're going to keep flying out this way. Come down to 3,000 feet. Get our lights on. Do auto brake medium. good. So we do a temporary direct. We'll activate our approach mode. Put speed into managed, and the plane will target its approach speed. A landing system on. There we go, this flap's full. So the wind is currently 230 and 25. So a 10-degree difference to what we expected, but we should be okay. That should be okay. I hope. Alright, so we've got our turn coming up. Airport is over this way, I believe. That could be it there. That's the airport there, I think. I don't think we'll use approach mode today just because of the wind. Let's see if we can do it ourselves, get a feel for the aircraft as soon as possible. I always find I run the risk if I take control at like 1,000 feet or 500 feet, there's never quite enough time, especially in windy conditions, to get a feel for what you're dealing with. Okay, let's arm those speed brakes, flaps are full. All we need to do is landing gear down, and I'd say we're in a good position. Here we go. To be a little bit over to the right, just because the way it's turned us into this waypoint isn't quite where we need to be. If we had approach mode on, of course, it would be automatically lining us up now, much like I'm doing by hand currently. There we go. Catch up to that glide slope now. Definitely feel that wind. I know it's a headwind, but
2,500.
Get out. You can definitely feel it. It is not nothing.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
Hey Peter, no cam today, Rob. I've taken the cam off the wall because I'm filming something else that definitely is not a setup tour. Promise. Can neither confirm nor deny. Okay, we need to be over to the left. Quite a little bit. Because that wind is sort of changing its angle a little bit. Guess if we just hold it like this, we should be pretty good. Got a little bit of a crab, but not by much.
1,000.
That wind is definitely there, isn't it? You definitely feel it. Actually having to concentrate quite a lot here. Lots of tiny little movements. Whoop. Okay, now the wind is almost completely dead on of us now. It's completely
500.
changed. But it is a headwind, so we don't want to flare too much. Don't want to be flaring too much, otherwise we'll float.
$300. 100 above. 200. Minimum.
Okay, let's land.
$100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
There we go. We made it. We made it. Perhaps a little bit on the low side there towards the end, but then Flight Sim does have that weird bug at the moment, so I'm never too inclined to believe what the pappies say. We were almost at 50 feet over the threshold, which is where we want to be. Maybe we're a little bit ahead of that. That's okay. Yeah, there's an interesting video 737NG driver put out about how the ILS that the plane gives you, so the glide slope markers that we get on the flight displays in the plane, and the pappies can actually lead you astray and give you actually quite a bad landing. And I was so glad when I watched that, because I was like, yes, because I've always felt that. I've always felt like it's impossible to follow them and get a good landing on the touchdown markers. And then when he said about what it's like in the real world, where you have 50 feet when you cross the threshold of the runway, that's kind of where you should be aiming at. And then I went and did that on a flight just after I watched that video. And the 50 call out was right when I was above the runway threshold. And the pappies weren't happy. The ILS system wasn't happy. So it just goes to show there probably is a bit of a bug going on there. Yeah, I'll try and get the yoke cam rig back up for the for another stream, but I am using it at the moment as a camera. Okay, let's get flaps up. APU on. See if I can steer looking out the side window. Somehow doubt it. There we go. Let's go and find a gate. Bit of an early finish today. Yeah, the dog's good, thanks, Peter. All good now. And it was free. Ha ha ha. Turns out the vet left a piece of tooth in his mouth last year when they took a tooth out. So it turns out the whole thing was their fault, so they did it for free. Which is brilliant news, because otherwise we were looking at potentially like a £700 bill. Which would have been less than ideal. Why's the plane stopped? Come on. Yeah, they were very, very apologetic. They almost couldn't believe that it had happened. And I had a hard time not sounding really happy on the phone. Because when they said they'd do it for free. Almost had to sound a bit sad. Like, oh no, that's really bad. Yeah, yeah. So, yes, it's free. Yes. That's like a whole graphics card worth of money. There we have it. Parking brake on. Engines off. So SimToolkit Pro rated that landing at 298 feet per minute, which isn't bad. I'll take that, especially in the wind. That was a challenging landing, that. I know it was only a headwind, but even headwinds can cause problems. Thank you all for joining us. Yeah, thanks, Peter. Bit of an early finish today, but real life dictates I gotta go. I haven't got time to get us back to Newquay, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll have time to do a stream tomorrow night, maybe. So I'll get that scheduled, and you should see it in your feed when that comes up. Until then, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your company, and I'll see you in the next one.